sets up on the left. Play clock at 5. Pass is...
You're listening to In The Huddle AU. Welcome to episode 3, fellas. Week 1 NFL in the books. About time, huh?
Thank God.
Well, I think if this is the first time you're listening, just like we've said before, make sure you check us out on all of our social media channels. What are they, Tom?
iTunes, Audio Boom. We love Audio Boom. Twitter, Facebook. You can find us on Josh's blog. Can't we, Josh?
Absolutely. www.joshjenkins04.com.
Very good. And just obviously to introduce ourselves, I'm Nate.
I'm Thomas.
I'm Drew.
Josh.
There we go. Josh and Tom are very generous this week and decided to give a pair of autographed boots to a winner of the prediction Pats Steelers game.
Absolutely.
And the winner was?
Aaron Condick. So congratulations.
Way to go, Aaron.
We had a lot of guys right around the money. We had plenty of interaction there, so that was pretty cool.
It was a great game.
But Aaron nailed it. I mean, there was no official MVP, and big number 87 is probably unlucky. But Brady was flawless. He didn't miss a beat. So
I was pretty sceptical of that because Gronk did get the game ball off the coach.
yeah, that's fine. But the competition was instigated by myself, so
Yeah.
I'll
I
probably
would have gone with Gronk.
I'll choose the MVP, and I've got no doubt I'll have to provide the boots. So, congratulations to Aaron. We'll contact you direct message.
That's right.
Message on Twitter, and we'll get them to you straight away.
Can you sign Puma boots?
Do you have a signature? Do you know how to...
Yeah, I'm not sure it was sought after as Josh's, but are we going to be doing that as a weekly thing?
Well, I mean, do you guys... I've got a pair of size 15 Nike free runs we could go with.
So,
That cost a lot of postage.
the next set of boots, Drew and I will sign. All right, moving on. Just a recap of week 1.
Absolutely.
Sleeps in Seattle. Oh, man, this team is killing me right now. A lot of mental mistakes. Offensive line is clearly a problem. Granted, they played the best defensive line in football,
Yes.
I think. Wilson was sacked 6 times. And the defense is just shaky, giving up 352 total yards. Really showing how much they're missing Cam Chancellor right now.
Foles went at the invincible Sherman late in the game too. That was a big play, and Thomas couldn't quite get there. That was a big play.
I think the onside kick call was a bit harsh as well. I wouldn't necessarily have done what they did there, but you live and die by it. So.
Yep, I agree with that. And stay tuned. Beast Mode's mum has requested or put on media that Darren Bevel needs to be on his way out.
I know we want to move on, but 31 points the Seahawks put up. I mean, that's got to be enough. I know they're playing against a good front line, but 31 points for the Seattle's D, you'd almost take that most weeks, wouldn't you, Josh?
Mightn't be enough this week.
Well, I think just a bright spot in this game was Tyler Lockett out of Kansas State with that 57-yard punt return.
Only to be outdone by Tavon Austin was 75 yards.
Let's not spend too much time Seattle. They're a bit of a run-of-the-mill team. But so moving on.
Sunday
night. Yeah, I just want to touch on Sunday night football, and there was a lot about the veteran quarterback in Tony Romo, who's able to get the job done. It's his 28th fourth quarter comeback for the year, Drew. So that leads the NFL. So they certainly know you can get the job done, but I'm not sure if it was more Tony Romo or it was more about the G-men making some costly decisions late down the stretch. Drew, what are your thoughts?
I think Romo is really good until it gets into the part where the games really matter, and in the end, Romo will be Romo.
I'll just reiterate the fact again, it was his 28 game-winning drive.
Except for when he gets to the playoffs.
He's the NFL.
Look, his regular seasons have been fantastic for the past 3, 4, 5 years, but when it
What about
comes
the
down
play
to
call? What about the Giants' play call to decide to throw it third down?
with running the clock off, that was a miscommunication with Eli telling him not to score. I think he thought that they didn't have as many timeouts as they did. They declined a penalty.
Just got a 4-year, $88 million deal, Eli. I'm not sure communication is a good enough excuse. He's just got to go down, doesn't he?
Yeah, or just take the sack and don't worry about throwing the ball there. And it was just a miscommunication from the sideline.
Agreed. How about that Kansas City game, Josh?
Yeah, my boys. I'm jumping on the Chiefs. I don't have a team as such, so I might just take the Chiefs.
Well, you go for the Chiefs now. You support them.
Alex Smith,
Jesus.
their first quarter was flawless. Alex Smith found Kelsey twice, which is great for people who want, such as myself, who own Travis Kelsey in fantasy worlds. Jamal Charles, he wasn't as dominant. He struggled on the ground. I mean, JJ Watt and those guys, they were able to hold him up on the ground, but he was pretty effective in the passing game. Alex Smith still didn't find a wide receiver for a touchdown, but when you've got Charles out of the backfield, Kelsey, Macklin did put up some yards without getting the score. They looked pretty good, and the rookie out of Washington, I believe I threw him up as a smoky for Rookie of the Year.
You did.
At $21, had the first pick. I think it may have even nearly been the first pick of the season. And then was burned not long after by DeAndre Hopkins for a touchdown. So that's life of a rookie. But the Chiefs look really good, and they're going to have a tough match up against Denver this week.
Good work, Josh. And Johnny Football, Drew.
Yeah, so Johnny Football is quickly starting to learn that it's not the SEC anymore. There was a time where he could run around and make plays and just rely on his speed, but everybody on the defense is as fast as he is. He can't run like it was in the NCAA, and he just looked lost out there amongst the Giants. It's going to be a tough road to hoe for Johnny Football. He went 13 of 24. He had 182 yards, 1 touchdown, and 1 pick, but he also fumbled the ball twice when he was running. He had a nice touchdown pass, but
He looks so little out there.
he is
tiny.
little, man.
Yeah.
Everybody's big in the NFL, and he's not. So I don't think this is a resurgence of a Doug Flutie.
All right. And the Bills,
My other
JJ.
squad.
Your other one.
My other boys.
He's got 2.
Buffalo
It's
Bills.
starting to get ridiculous.
They look good, man. They look really good.
I've been on Tyrod Taylor since day dot when he was at Virginia Tech, and I mean he played awesome. His numbers weren't outstanding, threw for less than 200 yards, but he just made the right plays. He put a ball right in Percy Harvin's lap. I think it was a 69-yard score. He was dangerous on the ground. I guess as much as it was about Buffalo's great win, Indianapolis looked all out of sorts. Luck couldn't find any of those receivers until late in the game, until the game was over.
Yeah, very average.
And I mean, the highlight of that game for me was watching that was Rex Ryan. Every time a play was made, he was sprinting out on the field. He had that whole place energized. So it's going to be looking forward to that big AFC East matchup this week as New England head up to Buffalo.
They've always been known, obviously, for their defense, but their offense has certainly got some weapons now, doesn't it? I mean, LaShawn coming out of the backfield, Percy Harvin, Sammy Watkins didn't have a huge game, but I mean, if he gets going.
Absolutely. Watkins, I mean, they couldn't find it. They couldn't get him the ball. And LaShawn didn't actually do a lot on the ground either, but he got involved in the passing game. He was one of the backups, actually got both running touchdowns. So, they look good. They've got enough weapons. I mean, Percy Harvin's not a guy you can rely on every week, but they've got enough to get it done.
I think they're a scary team. And Drew, with your rookie ramble there, Mariota.
Yeah, so
Winston.
it was something that everybody wanted to see, the number 1 draft pick versus the number 2 draft pick. Mariota, in the first quarter, tied the Oilers/Titans record with Fran Tarkenton for most touchdowns by a rookie in his debut. And that was just the first half. He went 13 of 16, 209 yards, and 4 TDs before they subbed him in the third quarter. Winston had the same amount of yards as Mariota on 2 times the amount of pass attempts. He had 2 touchdowns, but he also had 2 picks. The Titans went 2-14 last year and had a 10-game losing streak coming into the season. There was a nice little clip of Mariota when he came into the huddle at the beginning of the game. He was smiling, he was laughing, and he said, "Guys, it's a great day for football." And it was obvious that it was a great day for him. He had a QB rating of 157.9, which is off the charts.
You've got to keep in mind, though, that Mariota isn't playing against Jameis. He's playing against the Tampa Buccaneers. So.
Yeah, but it was the attitude that he exuded. I think I alluded to it last week about his set of skills and his leadership skills and his understanding of the offense for them to have a little bit more of a elaborate offense than what Jameis was playing. And it was obvious when plays broke down that Jameis would scramble, and he doesn't have that size window anymore to fit the ball in like you would in the NCAA, because like we were talking about with Johnny Football, you quickly learn that it's a lot faster in the league.
Geez, you write him off early.
Well, until they prove me wrong, man.
So James Winston, no good.
Jameis Winston has a tendency to believe in himself so much that it's his downfall,
Yeah,
right.
yeah, I like that.
rather
One-
than sticking to the system.
One game in.
No, I've watched him play. He's from my hometown, from home
We're,
state.
we're
man.
here to make calls, Thomas.
Watched
Yep,
him play
no,
for a
very
long
good.
time.
I'm going to stick by him for
And
a little longer.
how
I
about
think.
that Broncos Baltimore game?
Whoa.
And I think just taking Drew's words here, Peyton just looks old.
Yeah.
He just looks old.
It's a flabby arm, man.
Oh my god.
He's throwing rainbows everywhere, and he doesn't have any feeling in his hand. He's got back problems. He's not confident anymore. You could just tell he doesn't have the zing. The ball's coming out of his hand
No,
wrong.
it's
You'd come into
No,
that,
it's-
that
it's-
much negativity.
It
towards some
is.
of these
It
kids.
is. It is
Too
killing me
old.
here because Emmanuel Sanders is on my fantasy team, which we'll get to, and he's got nothing. Absolutely
Peyton
nothing.
put the
DT got nothing. CJ Anderson couldn't run.
Peyton put the
Nothing
ball
happened.
just out of reach.
And with Suggs going down for the Ravens, that's huge for them.
Really unfortunate.
He was the heir apparent for Ray Lewis, and without having a middle linebacker who is your quarterback of your defense, I'll be interested to see who's going to step up. Maybe Mosley.
And then heading
Where's
into
he from?
Monday Night Football.
Alabama, roll tide.
Monday Night Football there, Tommy.
Yeah, two big games on the Monday. Obviously, the early game was the Eagles versus the Josh's Falcons, another team he suddenly happens to go for. So they're a bit. I thought the Eagles, especially in the first half, were a little bit of a letdown.
They looked out of sync.
Yeah.
They certainly did. Julio Jones is, geez, he's a player. He's one to look out for in the fantasy the world, but. He put up some big numbers, but at the end of the day,
Straight
the Eagles just couldn't get it done on that last drive. And then the later game, obviously, was Australia's own Jarryd Hayne. He had a interesting debut. Didn't have to get off to a good start, but got some reps later on in the night, which certainly helped him. But yeah, Carlos Hyde had a big night, and Cap didn't really have to deliver too much on the passing game as. With Carlos having such a big night, he was almost able to just play his role. And
It was a fairly lackluster game.
I found both of those games to be a bit boring, to be honest with you.
Yep.
No
Yeah.
offense, guys.
And-
you tried your best. Sorry.
And AP, I mean, he still needs a few more reps to get that rust off, I reckon.
I felt like they sort of got him out of sync and got him out of a rhythm. They didn't give him the ball the whole first series. I would have thought getting him back,
Just get him going.
give him the ball
Yeah.
every time.
Yeah.
3rd and 8, still give him the ball. Let him get involved. Let him touch the ball. I thought that was a strange play call from the start.
And heading into fantasy, we kind of touched on that earlier.
Fantasy football,
Boys,
Tommy's
some big
life.
players. Some
Tommy's
players just
life.
really
Yeah.
stood up.
yeah, so obviously had the big win against Nate on the weekend. So
Oh, we're getting personal now.
Hey, it was a birthday present, all right?
yeah, so that was important. But I had a couple of hits from the weekend.
Give us your hits. Give us the guys that really stood out.
Well, the tight ends really stood out for me on the weekend. Obviously, Gronk had that big game on the Thursday night. Travis Kelce, Tyler Eifert, he had a big game as well. So they put up some huge numbers. So there's a lot of tight ends out there. And obviously with Greg Olsen having a quiet night as well, you'd look to see him turn it around. Carson Palmer for me was the number 1 rated QB, which is I'm not sure if he'd be on too many squads. So I'd be interested to see if he can keep backing that up.
Waiver wire.
And then my other hit for me was, even though Houston had a disappointing night and they happened to change quarterbacks mid-game, DeAndre Hopkins was still able to have a huge night. So
Yeah, he had 23.8 points.
Yeah, so
and Gronk had 28.4. Those are huge numbers, and both of those guys are on my team, by the way.
yeah, so I mean, if they can get
Just if you're
some,
wondering.
if they can get some consistency at quarterback, then he can look to have a huge year, Hopkins.
Well, I heard you were looking to get on a team somewhere. Are you going to step in and play quarterback for
Yeah,
Texans?
look,
They need
yeah,
to get quarterback.
Yeah, it might be something I'll look to at maybe the end of the off season. Yeah,
Yeah, we'll just work on your.
yeah, just
Interesting
quarterback.
stat I read over the weekend. Tight ends accounted for 22 touchdowns.
Huge.
Yeah, that's massive.
Yeah, really good.
With every hit, there's a miss, and there were plenty of misses on the weekend. I had 2 of them.
Plenty.
Two of the top wideouts in the game, Demaryius Thomas and AJ Green, they combined for 12 points. They're supposed to carry me to victory each week.
That hurts.
Fortunately, I still was able to get the win. Not sure how. Odell Beckham, Dallas just had double coverage on him, took him out of the game. That'll be interesting to see if teams follow that suit. Calvin Johnson again. I didn't have him.
Real
on this.
disappointing,
I didn't
Calvin.
have him on here as a miss. I just couldn't write his name down. But he only had I think he had 39 yards on 2 catches. So Golden Tate was limited as well. So expect to see those guys step up. We mentioned Sammy Watkins unable to have a catch. The Manning brothers struggled. 11.9 points between them.
My boy Daz.
Des is going to miss 4 to 6. Fortunately, I played Nate this week. Cards are falling my way this season. Greggy Olsen, we mentioned, had one reception. He did have a receiving touchdown that was brought back, so that could have really helped his production. I wouldn't worry too much about him for the season. And the last one I want to touch on is CJ Anderson. Tom mentioned this, I think, in our first podcast, that he's no sure thing to keep that job. And Ronnie Hillman outplayed him. I mean, I'll stick with Anderson for now, but I think you can certainly say that Hillman's one to watch. Fortunately, he's on my bench.
Yeah, so speaking of what to watch for, have you got any other?
I have a really good one. Kendall Wright from Tennessee, the Titans. He had 17.10 points, and I would say probably half of the league wouldn't have him on their roster. So if he's available in your leagues, go snatch him up. He ended up with 101 yards, a touchdown off of 4 catches, and Mariota and he really looked like they were in sync on the same page. So if he's available, I would snatch him up quick as a WR2.
Yeah, I've touched on before with Palmer. I mean, especially with Ellington out, probably looking at 2 to 3 weeks with that knee injury. You know, as the number 1 rated quarterback for the first week, I know that's not going to happen every week, but he's certainly going to get a lot of chances to step up there and sling the thing. So the other one for me was James Jones at the Packers.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that was interesting.
Yeah,
Caused me a few headaches as I was looking
you
at
had
Devontae
Devontae,
Adams
yeah.
to get involved.
Yeah, that's right.
But I mean, yeah, that's going to be an interesting one to follow because we know Nelson's not coming back this year.
and it wasn't just put on a silver platter for him. He made some big time catches, so he certainly was hyped and ready to go in his first game back at for Green Bay.
What about my half brother,
Oh, who's that?
Austin Safarian Jenkins?
Definitely your half.
Did you
yeah.
text him?
Definitely your half, brother.
24 points. He was sensational. When if Mike Evans misses again, he's a guy you can plug and play and hope for some good results at tight end.
Yeah.
And Julian Edelman had 97 yards as well. So he's available on some people's rosters. I'd pick him up as well if you need a WR.
Who throws the ball to him?
That's pretty much a cap for him, though, isn't it?
I think the greatest quarterback of all time throws
Okay.
him the ball.
Okay. I'll throw in one to watch. Also, is Bishop Sankey,
Oh,
and not because
Never heard of
he's a Husky, but boy,
But
he had
what?
86 total yards, 2 touchdowns. How about Chris Ivory? Chris Ivory was looking great.
Yeah, he was
Real
He
shifty.
was surprising. I actually dropped him from my roster.
Yep, thank you.
It was a
I picked him
terrible
up.
move.
He was a monster. 68 of his 91 yards were yards after catch.
That's a matchup. Cleveland worst run defense in the league. That's a matchup.
Yeah, I agree.
okay.
And
All right.
touching on the Bishop Sankey one too, I mean, Tennessee, they're going to be behind in a lot of games.
Oh, who
They're
do you
not-
have from
they're-
Texas?
They're not handing him the rock. They're not handing him the rock. When Tennessee get behind, Mariota's throwing the thing.
All right, now we got our 2-minute drill, and Drew's going to run us through his, perspective on the Jarryd Hayne debut.
Yeah, it was definitely played up very heavily here in Australia for obvious reasons. You've seen the advertisements, and they featured it as their game on public television, I believe. But Jarryd, in playing the game on his first play, forgot the number 1 rule in football, and that's protect the ball. They kicked the ball a little bit short, so he had to run up on it. And it's a different way of catching the ball than in rugby. The ball comes at a spiral rather than end over end, so it has a tendency to move a little bit more in the air. I think that the fact that Reggie Bush got hurt is really going to help him out on his chances to actually do something. But we all kind of expected that Reggie Bush was going to get hurt. So Hayne ended up with 4 rushes for 13 yards, and he caught a pass for 7. He's still got a long way to go, but as long as he's not fumbling the football too much more, I think he'll be okay. Unfortunately, on the third punt return, the other return guy took it back for a touchdown. So I don't know if Hayne's going to be doing kick returns from here on out if that guy keeps taking it back.
So how would you grade him?
Well, his first grade would be in that he dropped the ball on a punt, and that's not very good. He wasn't too effective on his rushing. He did catch the ball on the pass. I would say I'd probably give him C+. I mean, that dropping that ball is massive. You have to protect the football, and that's the one thing you got to do as a punt returner is catch it, even if you don't run.
Very good, well done.
If I'm at school, C+ is great.
So let's follow up on how we did with our short things of last week.
Oh.
JJ?
Yeah, I'm not sure if I get a pass or a fail. I'm probably going to pass myself here, but I said no QB would throw for 200 plus yards in the Cleveland Jets game. Menzel came in for McCown and as a total, as a tandem, they surpassed 200 yards, but no individual quarterback
Unfortunately
went
for you,
for over
that's
700.
0-1.
I think that's a tick.
That's fair enough.
Drew, how'd you go?
Well, I predicted that Mariota was going to beat Winston, and it was obvious with Mariota almost setting or tying a record for the Oilers Titans franchise. At this point, we'll see later, but at this point, I am perfect, 1 for 1.
Tommy.
Yeah, look, disappointing.
Don't pat it, mate. Just get to the point.
Obviously, my prediction, short thing was Adrian Peters having a huge night. Wasn't the case. Offensive coordinator let me down. Didn't give him the rock. So, it's still across though. So.
0-1. I had Jimmy Graham more touchdowns than Marshawn Lynch, and that did happen.
That's a
one
tick.
touchdown to nothing.
Lynch didn't have any.
Tick.
That's all right.
Jeez.
Take your tick, but take your loss.
All right, before we head out today,
We're going to have this week's predictions.
that's right. And what's everyone's sure things? We'll start with you, Drew.
My sure thing is that the Titans continue to roll. I think that offense is going to be coming back hot. And
Are you from
Back.
the South?
yeah, I've been to Nashville a few times.
Okay.
I'm not sure if you could tell from my accent.
Back-to-back weeks of sure things being the Titans.
Yeah, so
We'll say.
I will reiterate that I got all my picks right from last week. So I say they're going to continue to roll, and the Pats are going to beat the Bills as well. That's another sure thing.
Wait, we already
Just the one. We're only after the one.
All right.
Okay.
You can't have 8 sure things and decide, one got up, I'll take the tick. This would be good.
You could be 0-2, Drew.
We've mentioned both these guys having down weeks. Megatron and AP, Adrian Peterson, both will surpass 100 yards this week.
Both. All right.
You're going to go with AP all day for 100 yards.
Both he and Calvin Johnson will surpass 100 yards.
Who do they play?
Doesn't matter.
And you, Tom?
Yeah, for mine, I'll keep the theme going, my little storyline, but it's for me, the Jets' luck runs out. Andrew Luck's going to have 300 yards and 3 TDs.
Oh, I hope so. That's my fantasy quarterback.
So, got another AFC ripping defense this week, Andrew Luck, but I feel as if he's going to sort things out and he's going to have a big, big night.
Well, you know.
I've got Amir Abdullah breaks 100 yards and 1 touchdown versus the Vikings' run defense.
No little storyline like.
No,
Play on words?
No,
No play on
I'm not
words.
into that. I'll just get right to the point.
Okay.
Hyde had 168 on them over the weekend, and I think Abdullah is ready and going to break out here. And then our pick'ems. Josh, you want to start us off?
Absolutely. Following on from Tom's lead, I think Indianapolis will definitely beat the Jets this week.
Yeah, that's a pretty good guarantee. I'm going to take that the Pats going to take over the Seahawks and get it back this week. The Seahawks are going to start the season 0-2.
And I'm going to go with the Baltimore Ravens. I think they bounce back. They're still a pretty good squad, and I think Flacco has a big night against the Raiders.
I'm going to go with a big divisional game here. I'm going to pick the Bills over the Pats.
Oi!
Percy and Shady and Watkins.
It's good to see you having to buy back in.
This is
Rex Ryan's D. He'll take away the short pass game. So Edelman,
just take it
Take
away
him
because he's
out.
had great success with that in the past.
just watch. That's my
I
pick.
have been watching.
It's at Buffalo.
Yeah, the Buffalo's defense is good playing at home in Buffalo. The Buffalo's fan base is very, very devoted.
No doubt.
Could be good,
Regardless, it's going to be a great game to watch, isn't it, Drew?
yeah, I think it's going to
All
be
right, very good.
Yeah.
And then our bets of the week. I'll start this one off.
You can't cut it out.
I'm going to take KC and their spread offense at home to cover the 3 points on Denver. And I'm actually also going to take Atlanta to win the Giants.
I just wanted to drop in about your pick as well. The Bills haven't won back-to-back against Patriots in 15 years. Or they haven't won back-to-back games in 15 years. So.
And I'll throw something in there too. You mentioned they'll take away Edelman's run short passing game, but they've still got Gronk.
Anyway, yeah. So back to the bets of the week. So
Bets of the week.
if you did my bet of the week last week, it paid I think somewhere around up plus $13. So this is my bet of the week. Take it or leave it. I don't gamble responsibly. Obviously, I only bet $1. So
Take it to the
just,
bank.
just for fun. But take Kansas City to cover over the Broncos -3. Take the Titans to cover over the Browns. That's 2.5. Take the Dolphins to cover over the Jags because everybody does. And take the Steelers to cover the 6.5 over the 49ers.
Anyone else?
That pays $12.48. So
Not bad.
Put that into a parlay.
Nearly as good as mine.
if you got $1 for a frozen Coke, then you can get a whole Big Mac meal or whatever they say.
I've taken your lead.
Lost me.
I've taken your lead there, Drew. Jumped on board. I've got the Colts to cover the 7. 7-point start on New York Jets. Miami 6-point start over on Jacksonville. The Bucks to get within 10 of New Orleans, and I got Kansas City to lead halftime, full time, paying $17.42.
That's a
Oh,
good,
that's
Four
good.
legs.
that's a good
Really
one.
nice.
Put an hour
And
into
if you
that.
need a bet for on the run, because they just take way too long, I'm going with Demaryius Thomas for the first touchdown score of the game, paying $9. I just think that Payton's going to be rocking up this week, are ready to roll.
Let's hope so. 'cause
You-
that'll get
you
my
think he'll
fantasy
just-
team off to a
He'll
flyer.
zip on the ball now, huh?
I just think he'll be ready to roll.
Oh, okay.
He's a champion, and he will remain a champion.
Yep, very good. All right, well, that does us for episode 3. Thanks for listening. And be sure to obviously check us out on all those social media channels, Facebook, Twitter,
iTunes.
Audio Boom, Josh's blog.
Absolutely.
Another plug for Josh.
And do feel free to send us questions. We do our best to respond mostly on Twitter. But that will do us for this week, and
Enjoy
we'll
your
see you next
weekend of
week.
football.